Hello, 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 my friends. How are you doing? I've been looking forward to connecting with you here in Bali, wherever you are at in the world. And I'm just really excited. I'm actually sitting on the ground, in front of the couch, on the tile. and it's in the afternoon for me. And most of you are going to be watching the recording just because of the time differences, but it's okay because what I want you to do is leave comments below the post of the link of this call of any questions you have or things that got brought up for you and you want clarity on, or just leaving your comments would be awesome. So yeah, so I just want to keep us connected, and I have some really deep stuff that's coming up for me, and I know that it's going to hit home with you because we are all connected. And they are the three biggest lessons that are coming up for me here. Keep showing up in my life, and I've been journaling about them, and I want to share them with you. So really excited to share this with you guys. I actually was asked to be a part of a podcast a couple days ago, and I actually shared a lot of this information on that podcast, but I'll make sure I share that link to that podcast as well, because I may say it differently with you guys than I did on the podcast, but it is stuff that's coming up, and it's stuff that I feel like I need to teach at this time. So first off, just hope you guys are doing really well. I actually have my Merkaba necklace on, which, if you don't know what Merkaba is, it's actually from my Costa Rica retreat, and it's like the connection of a male and female, feminine and masculine energy, and just the balance of it together. So really love this, and I have it on for our call today. I'm gonna have you guys just go ahead and get grounded. I'm on the ground because I'm already grounded, and I like to actually sit on the ground a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and just close my eyes. I invite you guys to close your eyes and just take a big deep breath in. Filling up your belly, feeling your body rise or grow taller, your head floating up to the ceiling, your shoulders floating down, feeling if you're sitting, your sit bones rooting into the ground. If you're standing, feeling your feet rooting into the ground, feeling like almost like roots are growing out from the bottom of your feet, feeling roots growing from the bottom of your bottom, your glutes, just feeling it moving out from there and just rooting down into earth. If you're laying down, feeling it attached to the back of your shoulder blades, all the way to your lower back, the back of your thighs. And just allow yourself to root down and to feel the energy of like roots connecting you to the ground. Take a couple deep breaths in and out as you're feeling that rooting sensation, feeling stronger with each breath. And just to allow there to be some silence. And if there's no silence around you, to just be aware of the sounds. Maybe it's children, maybe it's the sound of chatter in the background, or cars, or birds. Just to close your eyes and to just be in that silence, in that moment of whatever you're meant to hear. With your last deep breath of that silence, the hearing, the presentness of hearing sounds, the presentness of hearing your own heartbeat. Breathing in one more time, filling up your belly, and exhaling out with gratitude. Gratitude to be connected to this call. Gratitude for the women that are in your circle here, that are on this call with you, that are looped and linked with you around the world. Exhaling out that of just gratitude, and go ahead and open your eyes. So you guys, I'm really excited to just connect with you. It's been almost 3 weeks since I've been here, and actually the time has flown by. So I'm going to share 3 things that keep coming up, and I'm going to share the stories that are involved with each one. And the first one is energy. The second one is death. And the third one is riding waves. Now I'm going to be in big storytelling mode right now, so you can just sit back and relax. But if you have a pen and paper and you're the type of person who likes to just jot down a little nugget of inspiration or something that you needed to hear, you'll know because you'll just feel like writing it down. You can write it down. But the first one, let's talk energy. So we all know we're energy. We all know that we're connected to something bigger than ourselves, that we are energy. But I'm finding on such a deep, deep level here the power of the energy. The moon seems almost brighter. The moon almost seems like it's talking to me. I go outside into my courtyard of my yard on grass, and I stand and I can always see the moon directly in front of me. And it's coming up, full moon, when you're listening to this call, which is absolutely amazing, the energy of the full moon. And it's like shining to me, and it's reminding me how I need to show up in my energy. And I say this because on around the first week, we were still in this jet lag phase. We were excited to be here, but yet a little cloudy, a little foggy, a little jet lag, a little bit of grumpiness some days, more of a cloud than a grumpiness, but it was definitely not like this high, exuberant, peaceful feeling. So I remember walking out, and we live in this beautiful villa. And that's what you find here in Bali is like you could be living in this swanky villa, this beautiful place, eating this most amazing organic, vegan, like high-end food you would find in New York, and literally steps away from you could be the most extreme poverty you've ever seen. So there's just this big yin-yang of what you may be experiencing if you're experiencing that abundance to the reality of the people that generally live here. And it is truly poverty that is extreme. Like Costa Rica definitely is a third world country. This is extreme third world country. So literally I'm walking out of my house and I have my coffee in my hand and I'm a little groggy and I'm trying to wake up for the day, and I'm just in this like little bit of not a bad energy, but definitely not a good energy. And I'm walking, and literally probably about 100 yards from my home, I pass which would be like what we would call a shack. And they're everywhere. This is where the Balinese live. And when I say a shack, it literally is about the size of most of your guys' bathroom. And that's where the whole family resides. They spend a lot of time outside because the weather allows you to spend time outside, but that is where they sleep. That is where they cook. That is where everything goes on. And the socializing is in that little space, which is about the size of most of our, like a master suite bathroom. And they're not shacks that are nicely made. They're makeshift from tin that they randomly found, different size angles of wood pieces, and they're all makeshift together. So obviously probably leaks if it rains, and there's just stuff all around it. So it's just a makeshift shack. And I'm walking, and this little boy, he couldn't be more than about 5, he's coming out of his little makeshift shack in his little house, and he's carrying a bucket. And I love kids in general, but this little boy had the biggest smile, and he was exuberating so much joy and so much happiness, to the point where it hit me, to the point where he was making me smile. And I like wave at him and he waves back, but he's still holding this bucket, right? And I know he's going somewhere with the bucket, and he's 5, and he is just shooting moonbeams at me, just super happy, and he's just filling me up. I can feel the aura around him. It's filling me up. My state's shifting, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what a cool little boy. But I'm watching him because we're right next to each other, and I have there's almost a smell coming up. And I watch him as he straddles this little ditch to this field right next to his house, and he goes to dump the bucket, and it's loaded with feces. And I'm literally in awe, as you would be watching someone dump feces in a field. And he just looks at me and he smiles again like he's done this 50 million times. This is his job for the day. Walks across the little road to the creek and starts washing out his bucket. Pops back up, waves to me, trudges back in his house. And I was blown away in that moment because I've never seen anything like it in my life. For one, I just got out of my, what we would call a swanky villa, and just in my not awesome state, and just watched this little boy dump feces in an awesome, awesome state, to the point where he was totally changing my state, totally uplifting me. And I think about this idea in life. How many of us, quote unquote, feel like we're dumping shit in our life, or dumping crap in our life, or having to handle shit or handle crap. And I don't normally swear, so sorry if I offended you guys. But I think he's literally doing it. He's literally doing it, yet he has a smile on his face. And he is lighting up my spirit. And I think about us who have so much abundance, and we walk around complaining about the so-called crap that we have to deal with. Oh, I don't like my job. I'm so upset with my family member in my home. I'm so upset with, I don't feel very good today. I ate something bad yesterday. All these little nuances that we say, and sometimes they're not even big calamities, they're just little things that we're kind of complaining about. Now, if you really watch yourself through the day, how many times do you kind of say something, oh, it's hot in here, I'm hungry, that was a really gross meal, or that person really bugs me, why did they say that? Or just anything, right, where we think we're dealing with crap. And I just, thinking back, I'm totally taking all this in for myself, but I'm like, wow, the biggest thing that I can do before I help out orphanages, before I help all the women around the world, the biggest thing I can do for humanity is govern my energy and ensure that I am putting on my best coat of energy for the day, because my energy here in Bali affects you in Michigan. It affects you in Africa. It affects you in Kuala Lumpur. Like, we are all so connected that the vibration that I'm emitting in this moment affects you wherever you are at. And that is a true statement. Not to say that even the energy that you get to share out to the people around you, the plants around you, the world around you, that get to see into your eyes and feel of your spirit, you're really affecting them. And the biggest thing that we can do is just govern our energy. Just choose to be happy no matter what. None of us are literally dumping crap, but we act like we are. We act like we're dealing with so much. What if we just shift our mind frame? And even if we are, quote unquote, dumping crap or dealing with crap, we still show up to serve that person, to smile for that person that comes into our space. Or just say, you know what, I'm gonna choose to look at a little bit different right now. And this is a discussion me and my husband are having, because we were studying this whole idea of, and I'm gonna get a little technical with you about the power of meditation. And it's actually, there's so much scientific evidence on the power of meditation and how it actually literally can rewire your brain, and how meditation can actually make you look 10 years younger. And there's actually clinical studies with people that have done certain types of meditations, and how they actually took, they brought in about 200 people at a certain age. They're not only were they that biological age, but they're also, their body showed up in that age. And they had them doing meditation, and they found that they actually decreased in age once they'd done the meditation for a year, versus the people who didn't do meditation actually aged, not only biologically, but physically as well. So me and my husband are talking about this, because what really happens is we walk around all day going into fight or flight mode, right? Which turns on all these chemicals in your body. It creates serotonin, all these cortisol hormones in your body that create this sense of stress, right? Which ages us, which makes us sick, which makes us feel miserable, which makes us have this perception of, I'm dealing with crap, or SHIT. And the deal is what scientists have found is that actually that same feeling when your stress comes up, and it was kind of brought up back in the days when people had to fight tigers, right? Or they were like defending really for their lives. That fight or flight mode was there to protect them. And so humans are walking around with this fight or flight mode when no one's attacking us. We're creating it in our own minds. Oh, this dang computer, it's not working. Oh, oh my gosh, my I don't know, my utility bill is so high. Oh my gosh, I just got sick. Or all these emotions come up, and it creates that chemical response of fight or flight in the body. But the cool thing is they've also found out that the same chemical is released when there's excitement. Say like you're going down a big water slide and you're laughing and screaming, but that's the exact same chemical gets produced in your body as you're going down a water slide, as if you were dealing with chaos, within business or your health or fighting with someone that you don't want to fight with, you know? And so what you can do and what they're finding is it's just switching your mental shift in your brain to say this is exciting. Because there's no difference chemically, it's just what the mind has perceived it as, which affects your health, which affects your aging, which affects your immune system, all these different things. So why not try this on? If we know this from a scientific level, that it's the exact same chemical, it's just what the difference is. Sorry, that was a tongue twister. The only difference is how your mind perceives it, whether it's going to be damaging for the cells, whether it's going to be stressful for the cells, whether you're going to age, or whether you're going to be sick, your immune system going down, versus if you just choose to look at it as excitement and the way your mind perceives it, it could actually make you younger. It can actually release, all these feel-good hormones and all these things that are beneficial to your body. So we've decided for the next week to try it on. So say like we upload a program, we just launch a program here and the Wi-Fi goes out. Now this is a true scenario. This totally could happen. And our whole program crashes or it doesn't get launched and we have all these people thinking it's going to be launched. We are choosing to say, ooh, something exciting must be coming around the bend. Something exciting must be about to happen. We get to choose how we respond to it. We can choose to be stressed or angry about it, or we can choose to say, ooh, I wonder what new thing's gonna come out of this. I never thought this was gonna happen. Ooh, this is kind of exciting. You get to choose. I know it's all a big game and it sounds a little woo-woo, but we're gonna try it on. And we've been doing the last couple days and it's like, oh, this is totally fine. And we did have that scenario where the Wi-Fi wasn't awesome. And I was like, you know what, maybe we're just meant to go play right now. Let's go play. And just changing and moving and flowing, and it just makes you look younger. It makes you feel younger. It makes you happier, right? So where is your energy? How is your energy? And how can you improve your energy? And that is your sole responsibility, is governing your energy so that you can show up for the world. And really that is your number one job. The second lesson that I'm learning is about death. So now death, right, is inevitable, but the timing of death, we never know. And it's something that my husband keeps bringing up and something that's definitely coming up into our space because as you guys know, a lot of you already know, I came to Bali 6 years ago, really spurred on by the death of my son. I would not have come if he had not passed away. It was in my moment of sorrow, which brought me to a whole new thought today, which I'll share on another call with you guys. But in the death of my son, it was what brought me to Bali because I wanted to do something radical. I wanted to heal my heart. I was in the space of I just needed to shake things up. So that was the best thing I could do. And I wanted to do something in honor of him, which was going to an orphanage and just giving back to the children there. And it was a pivotal moment for me. And so now we're back doing the exact same thing. And what we're finding, the first experience, that we're having is at this orphanage, and it wasn't really even an orphanage, it's more of a health center because the health here is just not awesome. Like when you go to a hospital, it's not awesome. Like you might get a good doctor, you might not even get a doctor, you might get somebody who was paid off, or you might go in and it's actually completely full and you're not gonna get service at all. It doesn't matter how much money you have, you're not gonna get any service. And we keep hearing this, so these places have been designed for these children who have HIV or severe diseases that normally would just die in villages or be left on the streets. And they've created this center so that they can get the help they need and get the medical care that they need. And then they actually go to villages trying to keep kids in their own villages, but then offering up medical service to these children. So that's that's really the first orphanage we went to, and they stay there and they don't even have really parents that come visit them, and most of them have HIV or AIDS, and some of them have other severe sicknesses. And we showed up and it's like I'm holding this brand new baby, and these two little babies the moms didn't want, but they have HIV and they have to be there and get the medication or they're gonna die. And I'm holding them and I'm just feeling so much love, and I'm watching my children play with the other children, and I'm coming to this this idea, and there was also this idea that they could pass away, right? That at any moment their life could be gone. And they're just emitting so much love. We're emitting love into them. And then there was this little boy, and he was 2. And he was from head to toe. It looks like he had just been severely burned. I mean, his skin's falling off his body. And he looks almost scary. And he just was so fascinated with my daughter because she has long blonde hair. So he comes running up to her, and she's nervous because he looks like he has like a severe disease, but he doesn't, right? He doesn't have a severe disease. So, but they were telling me that most kids, even in America, that have this particular disease, which is just about the skin growing, will actually die at 2 years age. And here he is at 2.5, and he's still living, and he's cognitively there. And I'm just thinking of the death, right? And I'm just hugging on him and touching him, and my daughter started to feel comfortable because it was my youngest daughter who was a little nervous, but I was like, wow, how important is it to us to give love now? Because we don't know when his death will come. We could show up next week and he may not be there. That's how inevitable death is. But here is where my heart sings and where I see God so prevalent here, and the reminder to me of the power of death to just remind us of our existence here and to truly, truly live, and to also be reminded that God, whatever you want to call it, higher source, higher self source, universe, whatever you want to call it, is so aware of each one of us. So we're driving to this orphanage. So I have to back up. So we get picked up by what we call as a driver here in Bali, and you're assigned a driver, and they pick you up from the airport and they drive you everywhere. And what they do is they actually drive you to a place and they sit and wait, or they'll join you on your adventures and then they drive you home. They don't leave you like a taxi driver and then you have to get a new driver. They're there for you the whole time. And we got picked up by this guy named Kutut, 49 years old, tall, strong Balinese man. And we're the type of family that we don't just sit back and ride. Like, we are asking him questions, and he's sharing all about his family, and we're like every day getting driven around by him. And we only knew him for 2 short weeks, right? So he's driving us everywhere. He's sharing his family. He brings us corn from his rice fields. From his cornfields. He's telling us about his rice fields. We're sharing chips and drinks together and just sharing about everything in life. And he's telling us about his religion, and he's telling us about all these things. And we felt like we became friends with him. And he was young, and he was totally strong looking. And I had messaged him to see if he could drive us to the orphanage. And the morning of going to the orphanage, I get this message, and it's from his daughter. And she says, "My dad passed away. I'm so sorry, I cannot drive you. He goes in peace." And I'm thinking, what? Like, I was just with him the other day, like 2 days ago. What do you mean he died? And at first, no one even knows about it. No one in our home knows about it. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But I'm like, we met him for a reason. He's so young. Like, we need to go see his family. His family don't even know who we are. But I'm like trying to work it out with the lady who takes care of our home here, because she kind of knew of him. I said, we want to go see his family. And we go to see his family, and they are so taken back that these tourists want to come to see him. And his daughter's sobbing. She's like, oh my gosh, he just died. I guess he just started having a severe tummy ache. They went to the doctor. Of course, you can't even get into the doctor because the hospitals are completely full, and they're not even really great. This is how blessed we are. So they show up. They're sitting in the waiting room. He starts to get blood coming, and I'm getting kind of graphic, blood coming out his nose, blood coming out his mouth. And then it started coming out, and she's like, nurse, and she's like running, and she's like, nurse, you gotta help my dad, like he's, oh my gosh, like something. He's like, she said he's like choking, and he's not, and she's like, pray for a miracle because we cannot get him in. And her dad dies right there in the waiting room. And she's crying to me, and she's like, I hope I was a good daughter. I hope I was a good daughter. And we got to tell her that he talked about her in the car drive with us when we would go around the island of Bali. He shared about her. We knew about her, and that's why we came. And she was like, really? And we were like, yes. And we found out that this mom, because most Balinese people live together in their families, but their family actually, they were just a tribe together. He did everything. He worked in the rice fields. He worked in their cornfields, and he did this driving for tourists on the side. He worked all the time, and he supported this family of 3 girls and his wife, and they don't have any other extended family. The extended family's like airplanes away, so no one's there to help them financially. And we were so honored to be able to help them so that the mom can have a proper time to mourn before she has to go, oh my gosh, I got to get a job. Like his youngest daughter was 3 years old. And what a humbling experience to be there, to watch the sadness and to watch somebody that looks so young die so instantly from a tummy problem, right? And then the other miracle, is not only are we able to help them out, but we were obviously lined up with another driver to go to the orphanage. And as it makes me tear up. And as we're driving to the orphanage, of course, we're talking to him. He doesn't even know where we're going. He doesn't even know what an orphanage is. He's just kind of following the address. We're like, stop at the grocery store. We got to pick up this stuff. He's kind of just going along with it because that's what they're paid to do. And I start asking him about himself, and we start talking, and he tells me that him and his wife have been having a little bit of a hard time because their son passed away. His son was 1 year old, and he passed away a little over a year ago. And he tells me this before we get to the orphanage, as we're driving to the orphanage. He has no idea I've lost my son. He has no idea that around 1 year after my son passed away, I went to my first orphanage. And he has no idea that he's entering one. And we get out, and he was going to stay in his car, and I was like, no, you need to come with us. And I said, come along with us. We're going to be here for a while, so you might as well come instead of sitting in your car. He says, okay. And he comes in and he sees what we're there for. He sees the children. He sees the brand new baby boys. His heart is completely touched. And I have no doubt in my mind that he needed to be healed in a way only that the orphanage could do for him. But he didn't even know that they existed in Bali. That's how crazy it is, right? They live in their little villages, and they sometimes don't really know what's going on outside those villages on this small island of Bali. But he may not know, but God, the universe source, he knows. And I use he or she just as a term because it's an English term, but God knew. God knew what he needed, and he placed him to be our next driver going to the orphanage. And it is so blaringly clear to me, and I'm not putting on religion on you, but I'm going to refer it to God. You can say source or universe. But God is so aware of you. And he knows exactly what you're going through. And he loves you. He loves you behind all the makeup, behind trying to be so perfect and release all this weight. He loves you regardless. He knows your heart, and you need to trust in him. And you never know where it's going to show up. And God is so aware. He's aware of this Balinese boy that lost his son less than a year ago, to connect him with us to go to an orphanage as our driver. God's aware of Katut's family that passed away suddenly, who didn't know where they were going to get their next money from, that we were his clients, and we went to his house and took care of his family. My husband had dreams of him for 2 nights after. I have no doubt he was visiting him, thanking him for taking care of his family. And I just know, we all know that death is inevitable. The time of death is not. So live your life, and live your life knowing that you are fully loved just as you are, beneath it all, just because of your heart. Now the third thing I'm learning, riding the waves. So this little village I live in, called Canggu Village, and it is kind of an area within Bali where a lot of entrepreneurs, they call them expats, live. And the reason is because it's close to the water. So if you're a surfer, you're in surfer heaven. It's also got all these little restaurants that are organic and vegan and totally just blow your mind restaurants in this little area. And this is kind of the hipster area, people call it. And every day if I go on the beach, I see all these surfers out on the beach and all out trying to catch a wave. And it reminds me once again that life is one big continual set of waves. And you may not be a surfer or call yourself a surfer, but what I know about surfers is that surfers get addicted to the art of surfing because it gives them permission to ride the waves. It teaches them analogies in life. It's that resistance, paddling out, feeling your muscles burn, and waiting for that perfect wave, maybe even getting knocked down over and over and over until you perfected it. And then when you do ride that one wave, it feels like glory. It feels like I've conquered something. It feels euphoria. So these surfers become addicted to the art of surfing. But this is what I do know, is that life is continually giving us waves in our life. We have ups and downs in our lives. That is inevitable. The journey, it's not about the destination, it's the journey, and you are gonna have ups and downs and roll you around and flip you upside down all the time. Are you willing to ride the waves? Are you willing to look at life in a certain perspective? Because this is what I do know. You have two ways to look at something, and it's as simple as that. You can choose to look at something as terrible, this bothers me, this is frustrating, I'm mad, I can't do this, this is hard. Or you can look at something as, what can I learn from this? This is exciting, this is a challenge, this is something I can conquer, this is something that feels good. You have two choices, bottom line. And when you go to ride those waves in life, you can choose to be, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm fearful, I feel like I'm gonna get pummeled, and then you will get pummeled. Pummeled, pummeled, pummeled. And a lot of people that get pummeled, they get mad, they throw temper tantrums, they cry. Or you can say, oh, I got pummeled, but I'm gonna paddle myself out there and I'm gonna ride it the best way I can. And I'm gonna ride the waves of life. And I'm gonna get better at it. Yeah, I'm not gonna be perfect at it. And yes, I'm gonna get knocked down. And yes, I'm gonna swallow a lot of gross salt water. And yes, I'm gonna get hurt. And yes, I'm gonna get scratches on the coral. But I'm going to learn to ride them. And I'm gonna perfect my art of riding the waves. I'm gonna perfect the art of showing up, even if I've got knocked down yesterday. I'm gonna perfect the art of trying to be positive about it, that I get to ride this wave today. And I feel like that surfboard is just like knowledge, inspiration you can wax up to give you a little bit easier time riding that wave. And you're doing it by joining a mastermind, joining this coaching call. That's your wax. That's gonna help you ride the waves easier. You get to choose how you're gonna look at it. You get to choose, because the waves are inevitable. The waves are coming. So you might as well learn to ride it. You might as well look at it as a fun sport. You might as well look at it as something positive and give you some exhilaration. So I've been talking a long time, and I just want to sum up those three things: energy, depth, and riding the waves. And I love you all. That is my message for you today. I have learned so much from it, and I hope I was able to share with you clearly so that you could learn something too. I love you all so, so very much. Please, in the comments below, let me know, is there anything that I can help you with? Anything that you're going through, a question you have, or just like the concept you want to like mull over in your mind. Write it down. Write it out really clear, and we can talk about it. We can talk about it on the next call. Sending you all the best. You are so, so loved. Bye-bye.